One of the most important things about being a good running back is that good first step. You want to explode up out on your first step so that you can get the advantage. You can hit the holes when they first open up. So the way that we're going to teach these guys to explode out the quickest is once you get in your 2-point stance and you got your feet shoulder width apart and you're in good balance, we're going to use a crossover step. Now, some coaches will teach us differently. This isn't the only way to do it. Some people are faster with taking their first step this way and exploding out. The one I like the best because you can cover more ground is to step over with whichever direction you're going. If you're going to the left, then you want to step over with the right and you're going to explode off that back foot as you come out of there. And that's a good way to get going, and you also cover more ground that way. Obviously, if you're going off to the right, then you're going to cross over this way and you're going to explode off and push off with that back foot. So you can do it either way you want to. You can either step this way and explode this way, or you can do the crossover step. We're going to demonstrate what this looks like when we explode out of here with the crossover step. We're going to go to the left first. Set. Hut. Good. So you can see that he turned quickly. He got his first foot out there, and then he exploded off with the second foot. One thing we want to talk about, though, is we want to stay really low. When you come out of there, you should come out really low going into your stance because you're going to be taking the handoff here and exploding through the hole. You should never come up high and run up like a high running back. So this time, we're going to explode off to the right. Set. Hut. Good. You see how everything was down low, and he's got a good first step, and now he's going to take the handoff and be successful as a running back. We're working here with our running backs in the proper way to take a handoff. Now, you've got to make sure that you take the handoff in the proper way for a couple of reasons. One, you're not going to get the right way to wrap up the ball if you take the handoff in the wrong way. The second way is it's going to be hard for the quarterback to give you the ball if you're not opened up the proper way. If you have your hands reversed and he's trying to give you a handoff on the wrong side and you've got your elbow out there, chances are you're going to hit with your arm and you're going to knock the ball loose from the quarterback. So we want to make sure that when a running back comes through, first of all, he wants to be low, he wants to be open and ready with his inside hand to the quarterback. His inside arm has to be open, not down. It's got to be open so the quarterback can slide the ball in there. Once the ball goes inside, he wants to wrap the ball up tight, cover it with both tips over the ball, and it's going to look a little bit like this. Just walk through it. Set. Hut. Quarterback's going to open up. He's taking it low. You can see he's covered up with both tips, and he's still staying low and staying forward as he comes through. So remember, when taking a handoff, you don't take the handoff with your hands down low. You're going to open up. Inside arm is open. The ball's going to go in. You're going to cover the ball with both tips and hold on to it tight, staying low in order to explode through the hole. What we want to talk about right now is when our running back is coming through the hole, it is very, very important for him when he takes the handoff with the proper handoff technique, he is going to cover around the ball and he's going to be covering both tips, holding on as strong as he can in a low position. You never want to see a running back coming through the line standing straight up. For one, when he gets hit, he's going to get laid out. He also makes himself a bigger target. If he's down low running through the line, a lot of times with all the congestion that's going on at the line, it's hard for a linebacker to even pick up where the running back is at. So one major thing we want to concentrate on though is when he covers that ball up, he's got to hold it tight and cover it up with both tips all the way through the line. Once he gets through the line, then he can get in the open field, he can accelerate, he can switch it in to one hand. But to start with, we want to show what it looks like when he covers it up with both tips, he stays low, he's going to accelerate through the line with his head down, and this is what it looks like live. Set. Hut. Good. You see how he was running low? He had the ball sealed, so even if I would have come up and tried to make a tackle, he has it with both hands, and you're not going to have very many turnovers via the fumble if you hold on to the ball right. We want to talk about right now the importance of our running backs holding the ball in the proper arm to prevent turnovers. One thing you've got to remember is when you have come through the line and you're no longer carrying the ball with both of the tips covered and you switch it into one arm, it does help you to run a little bit faster. However, when a guy is coming in to make a tackle, you can do one of three things. You can either take the football from one arm, cover it up to take the hit, or you can switch the ball from the outside of one arm to the outside of another arm in order to prevent that guy from, when he comes in to make the hit, to fumble. We're going to show you what that looks like here. As our running back is coming up, carrying it in his right arm, he's going to come up, and as he sees the hit coming from the right side, he's going to switch it into the other hand to keep that ball to the outside. Now, as you see the pursuit here, go ahead and carry the ball. We're going to show you what would happen if he kept that ball in that outside arm, run this direction. He's going to come up to make the tackle. You can see that that ball is right on the outside. He can easily strip it away. So that's why a receiver instead wants to, as he's running that way, he wants to switch that ball to the other arm to keep that tackler from knocking that ball loose. So you want to make sure to keep that ball always on the outside hand away from where contact is going to come from. What we want to talk about right now is once the running back takes the proper handoff, the next decision he has to make is he has to find which hole he's supposed to go through. Now, we've got a couple of different holes. On the left side, you've got the 0 hole through the middle on both sides if they go right behind the center. You've got the 3, you've got the 5, and you got the 7 outside. So what he has to do is he will get an assignment at what hole he has to go through. Once he takes the handoff, one thing that you don't want to see your backs doing, that you'll see a lot of backs doing in college and in the pros, is they'll catch the ball and they'll come out here and they'll kind of dance around and they'll go inside and outside before they pick a hole. What you really want to do is, if your linemen have had the assignment of blocking right here and opening up this hole for you, you've got to explode up through that hole. So once the running back takes the handoff, he's going to pick his hole and he wants to accelerate through it, not go through it slow, not be standing up straight. He's going to tuck his head, he's going to explode up through that hole and try to pick up as many yards as he can. It should look a little something like this. Set. Hut. You see, he didn't dance around. He made one decision, that was to go through the hole he was supposed to, and he exploded up through it. You got to get upfield in order to be a successful running back. What we want to talk about right now is once the running back takes the handoff, he first wants to go through the hole that he is assigned. Every time in a huddle, the running back will get an assignment of which hole he's supposed to go through. Is he supposed to go through the 3? Is he supposed to go up through the 0 hole right behind the center? Or is he supposed to go around the outside off tackle? Once he has that assignment, that's always his first option once he takes the ball. However, sometimes the linemen don't get their jobs done, and that's to open up that hole. So sometimes, if our running back, go ahead and he's going to take the handoff, his assignment was to go up through this 3 hole right here. Well, he finds out once he starts to step up, he looks up and that 3 hole is closed. What he's got to do is, he can't start dancing around and try to run outside and sweep around. What he's got to try to do is, usually if this hole's not open, he can usually find one here or here, but he's got to get the ball upfield instead of stretching it out, because that's what the defense wants to do. They want to get this running back to go as far outside as possible so that they can make the tackle out here. So he's got to make a decision. Either I go through the hole that I'm assigned, or I try to cut it back up inside, or I try to cut it up through this hole. But he's got to make a quick decision, and the main thing is we want to get the ball north and south, not east and west. What we want to talk about right now is when our running back takes the handoff, it is very, very important when he is coming through the defensive line or when he's getting ready to take a hit. It's very important for him to have balance and to have good body lean. And what we mean by good body lean is that he never wants to come through the hole standing upright, or he doesn't want to be susceptible to a hit because he's stopped and he's off balance. He always wants to come through the line ready to give a hit where he is leaning forward and he can initiate contact going forward. We always want to be going forward. You never want to see a running back going in the backwards direction. You always want to see their body lean forward. So Tanner's going to walk through it here. As he takes the handoff, once he takes the original handoff, he wants to stay good and low. Go ahead. and he wants to keep that good low body lean, so when he comes through and he takes a hit, hopefully he's going to be down low and he's going to drive through that hit instead of being up, where when I come through, I'm going to push him backwards. We never want to see that running back going backwards. We always want to see him come through there low, good body lean, and when we see a defensive guy get hit, we always want to see him going backwards instead of our guy going in that direction. So stay low, stay with good body lean, and you'll be good as a running back. What we want to talk about right now is when the running back takes the handoff and he runs in an off-tackle route, we want to try to talk about how he's supposed to hit the hole and where he's supposed to be going. This is a very effective play. This enables the running back to get to the outside a little bit, but not to stretch it so wide that they're going to be pushed to the sideline. Obviously, this play can go to either side, and the way it's set up is you've got your center right here, your quarterback is right behind the center, you've got a guard and a tackle. So obviously, if this play is called off tackle, that's because we want our tackle to be able to seal this inside. We want our tight end position to be able to kick his guy outside, and we want our running back to come through this gap, which is not our 3-hole, but our 5-hole. That's the off tackle. On the other side, you got the same thing. You got the guard and you got the tackle. In this case, there's not a tight end to this side. So in this case, it's going to be a little bit harder for him to get to the outside. But that's what an off tackle is. It's running to that certain position. He's going to be looking for the blocks. He's going to read the blocks. If he's got his man sealed to the inside and this guy kicks out, he'll go ahead through the off tackle. If the tight end is able to get outside and block his man inside, he'll go off of the tight end a little bit more to the outside. But that's the effective way to run an off tackle route. What we want to talk about right now is the importance of running backs using their blockers appropriately. Blockers can be a big part of a big gain for a running back, but they've got to be used properly. Your linemen won't always block exactly the way that they're supposed to, but it's your job to read how they block. And what we're talking about here is using your blockers effectively. If this guy is coming down to make a tackle, and this is going to be our lead blocker from the fullback position, he can do one of two things. You see here that he's hit this man and he's kicked him to the outside. Our running back has to be smart enough to read the play and go through the hole in this direction and not try to take it to the outside. Because if our running back takes it to the outside, he's just pushing him right into the tackle, and this guy's going to make an easy tackle here. So you have to use your blockers. Show him the other way. If he comes through the hole and he's able to get out in front of him and seal him to the inside, go ahead, come up, seal him to the inside, then he has to cut off the block in that direction. One other way that we talk about running backs using the blockers is if we're upfield a little bit and this guy's running at an angle to make the tackle, then this running back sometimes will grab his backers and push him in the direction that he wants to either cut off to the inside or cut off to the outside. So it's very important, if you're going to be a good running back, you got to use the guys in front of you to let them block appropriately, and then you go off of their blocks. Our backs effectively once they come off of the sweep or the pitch and how they're going to run up the field is very effective. Now, when you're running the sweep or the pitch, the main thing we want is we want to get our running backs to the outside so they can use their speed. But when we say get to the outside, we mean to the outside of the tackle box, and then we want to get it upfield as quickly as we possibly can. So the one thing we don't want to do is we don't want to go ahead fullback fake, and let's give it to the tailback here. We don't want our tailback to take the ball and run to the sideline trying to avoid a tackle and then end up taking either a loss or something like that. So we want him to come out here and avoid the contact, but as soon as he sees an opening, he's got to turn himself up the field and get north and south as quickly as he possibly can instead of going east or west. So it's very important when our backs get the ball that they find the opening, they find the hole, and then they get through it. You may even have to cut the ball back, but one thing we don't want to do is run so wide that we're going to end up losing yardage. One thing we want to talk about right now is once our running back has kind of gotten into clear space, he's broken through the line, now he's going to come up against either a linebacker or a defensive back. and he wants to try to put some kind of a move on him to try to get additional yardage. You want to make sure, though, when you make these moves, A, you don't slip down, and B, you don't cause a turnover because you're trying to make a move and you're not holding onto the ball tight. You got to keep the ball tight in your arm as you're making these moves. The first move that we're going to talk about is called the stutter step. You hear it called the juke or the shake and bake, whatever you want to call it. But it's when the running back's going to come up, he's going to make a couple of stutter steps, the defensive back is going to come in to make the tackle, and then he's going to go around him. He's going to sidestep him. So he's going to juke, and then he's going to sidestep him, and he's going to get a little shake in his body to throw off that defender. That's why you always teach your defenders to look at the numbers and not look at their eyes, because they can shake you out of the move. So this is what a stutter step looks like. Set, hut. Okay. So stutter step, you want to move your feet, you want to juke him, try to get that guy to go one direction and then come back. And the last one we're going to do right here is called the plant and go. And all you're going to do is you're going to come up, you're going to try to get this guy going hard to the right, you're going to plant, and then you're going to reverse your field. So you're going to be running kind of at an angle, you're going to plant, and you're going to cut back. This is called plant and go. Set, hut. You see that he plants right there, he's coming one direction, and then he's going to go the other direction. So you got the stutter step move where you shake him around, and then you got the plant and the go route. Those are a couple moves you can use as a running back. What we want to talk about right now is a little technique that you can use called the hit and spin. And what this is going to do is, after we have our running back initiate the contact, because we always want to be the person that's hitting and not the person that's getting hit, we want him to first initiate contact, and once he does and he gets that defender off balance, then we want him to spin out and try to pick up as much additional yardage as he can. This is a good move that is used. It was made famous by Barry Sanders. He was always spinning out of tackles. It also makes you very hard for somebody to wrap you up, and you can always pick up positive yardage. So the first key to this play is, as we walk through it, and as our running back comes through, go ahead, let's walk through it. The first key is here, he's going to initiate the contact first. So he has now initiated the contact, which is going to make this guy stand up a little bit off balance. Now, once he initiates the contact, what we want him to do is, we want him then to go ahead and spin off. Now, as he spins off, you see he's covered the ball up. Now he's going to tuck it in this outside arm. Now that he's free, he's going to look up the field. He's going to get himself squared back up, and he's going to take off up the field and try to get as much yardage as he possibly can. Now, let's not go full speed on it, but let's show it a little bit quicker than that so that they can see what it looks like with the hit and spin. Set, hut. There's the hit, there's the spin. He stays upfield with good balance, and it's a great technique to use to get you positive yardage as a running back. One thing we want to talk about is, it's always important for a running back, in order to continue with positive gains, is they have to be the person that initiates the contact, never the person that takes a hit. We never want to see our running back coming out of the backfield, taking the handoff. Go ahead and take the handoff. And a guy coming up to tackle him, and we never want to see our running back cower up and let this guy hit him and drive him backwards. If that happens, he's probably not going to play running back very much longer. What we always want to see him do is, our running backs must initiate contact in order for them to get as much positive yardage as they can. They're going to get hit anyway, so they might as well be the hitter, not the hittee. You never want to be the person that's taking the contact. You always want to be dishing out the punishment. So what we want to see here is, once he takes the handoff here, we want to see him with that good low body lean, and we want to see him put the contact on and drive through the hole in order to pick up a positive gain. So always remember, initiate the contact, never be the guy that gets hit. We always want positive yardage after the carry. One thing that's very important for a running back to do is to have good vision. A lot of times the holes that they're supposed to go to, the sides that they're supposed to run to, aren't there. They've got to be able to see the entire field, and not only see, first of all, which hole to go through, but once they break through that initial hole, they've got to be able to look and see the whole field, and to see where their cutback lanes are, whether they're going to go back to the left, whether they're going to go back to the right, or whether they can just keep going straight. They've got to have good vision. So what you tell your running backs is to be able to see the field. They don't want to take the handoff. We don't want the running backs to take a handoff and to be looking down at the ground while they're running through the hole. For one, that's horrible because he's going to get hit in the top of the head, and that's not good. We want him to be up so that he can see where he's supposed to brake. If he was supposed to run to this side and the whole left side of the line is caved in, he's got to be able to cut back to have vision enough to see whether he needs to take it to the outside or to cut it back up through this hole or where. Then once he breaks through, he's got to look up, he's got to see if there's a linebacker coming in here or if there's a cornerback coming from this direction. Either he's going to run straight at him or he's going to cut it back because there's nobody to this side. Whatever the case may be, you got to have a back with good vision. He's got to be able to see the field, and he's got to know where to cut back and where to accelerate right through.
Okay, we're talking about changing direction. There's a few major things you need to remember when you're talking about changing direction. One of the major factors is a physical situation. Whenever you're going to change direction, you're putting a lot of energy into one place and trying to transfer it into another direction. So what you've got to remember is that if I place my foot here to change direction, I've got a lot of energy going into the ground. I've got to make sure that I transfer that energy right back out to the direction I want to go. So the first thing you've got to do is make sure your ankles are strong, because you have the potential to lose a lot of energy in your ankle if it buckles when you go here. The next thing is it rides up through your hip and through your core, which means you need to do a lot of core exercises to keep your body from falling here when you step that way. Because if I step here and I fall here, I just lost a lot of energy that I put into the ground. Essentially what I want is a step and a move. You see that? Everything tightens up all the way down through my ankle, through my core. Boom! I'm already moving there. When you're changing direction, the most important thing you got to do is shift your weight correctly. Okay, you're going here, and now you're trying to get your whole body going back this way. You don't want your body falling in the direction you're trying to go away from. So you've got to get your body to lean this way, and that begins with turning your hips the way that you're trying to go. So when I step here, I'm already in the process of leaning my hips back to where I'm going so that I end up driving straight out of that way. So what it ends up looking like is this. Okay, we're going to be talking about breaking free. What I mean by that is you just came through the hole, you just got out of traffic, all you see is green grass, and you're breaking free, you're heading for the end zone. Biggest mistake that any back, receiver, anybody makes in that situation is not recognizing the desperation that the defense is in at that moment. In desperation, the first thing people are going to do when you're about to break, they're going to start diving at your feet, and you've got to be aware of that. And if you're aware of that, your first reaction needs to be, as soon as you see green grass, is to lift your feet up as high as you can for the next 3 to 5 steps. That ensures you that nobody's going to clip your heels or just get a small little clip and make you fall right when you're about to break free, because that's the first thing that's going to happen. Okay, continuing with punt return and kick return. Okay, the most important thing after you've caught the ball, you've got control over it, now you're ready to run. And we're assuming that you've got a return on, left, right, middle, reverse, or something. Here's the most important thing. Believe what you see. If you see a hole, you've got to believe that it's there. Because by the time you think about it and you change your mind and decide to go back into the hole, it's going to close up. So the most important thing you want to do as soon as you catch it is to go the direction you know you're supposed to go. You've got to get as much yardage as you can before you get to the mesh point. The mesh point is the point at which the defenders, your blockers, and you all meet up at the same time. And you've got to hit that right at the same time, because if you hit that mesh point when the defenders are hitting your blockers, that's when the hole is going to develop, and you've got to make your decision and you've got to go, and you're going to be able to spring through it.